Yo, what up, everybody? The show's here. Chris and Jason on the mic. Yeah, we got the city's ear. Talking Phillies baseball. It's the only thing to do. Welcome to the Ring the Bell Phillies show for me and you. Ring the bell. It's a Philly thing. You know we ring the bell. Go Phils. Ring the bell.
All right. What is happening, everybody? Welcome to the Ring the Bell show. Jason, what's going on, man? How are you?
Feeling a little bit better right now, after, went from almost a really disappointing week until, my guy, I'll take credit for him. I love him. Kind of saved the day. But baseball's back. Listen, it's Phillies are doing what they do to us every year, with those nerves. It's funny because you see all of those different reels on Instagram. 2 games in the season, people acting all crazy, want to murder the team, and it feels like that already. They really put you through some emotions. Game 6 into the season, you're really getting some emotion. So it's fun. I've given up on them. I've called them World Series. I hate them. All within the first 6 games. So I can't wait for the next 156.
It's unbelievable. It really is. So yeah, as it stands right now, the Phillies are 3-3. A really rough way to start the season. I mean, I know 3-3 doesn't look awful. They take 2 or 3 from the Nationals, but it just, I don't know, man. It feels icky. I mean, they gave up a 13 spot in game 1 of the series. And,
that's rough.
You and I were on here Sunday and we're saying, you know what? I think we feel a sweep. And then Taijuan Walker decided, not today, Zerg, not today. And I mean,
I love they left him in there too. I'm sitting there watching. I'm just like, you know what? You deserve this. This is exactly what you deserve. They left him in. Just let him get eaten alive. I don't understand how we listen. And we've been saying it, cut him for years now. I don't understand. I get everybody wanting to get rid of Casty, but how do we not cut Taijuan? Like, how do we not eat that and just say, you know what? He's more of a detriment than he has been help to this team. Like, at least Casty could produce some offensively, maybe not have been the greatest defender, but he did make some plays. So let this guy go out there. And, when you had to move him to the bullpen last year, he's making $20 million in the bullpen. I know we were laughing at Minea making 25 in the bullpen. Just cut him. You got to cut your losses. I know we may not have somebody after, but I feel like anybody, me or you, could kind of go out there every 5th day and look better. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but still.
It's a little bit, but we get it. We understand the point you're trying to drive home. And just going over the line for Taijuan, we're going to start with Monday's game. 4 2/3 innings, 10 hits, 6 earned, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. The Phillies their top 4 hitters went 1 for 17 that day. Trey was 1 for 5. Kyle Schwarber 0 for 3 with a walk. Bryce 0 for 5. Alec Boehm 0 for 4. It was that was an awful day. The bullpen was terrible. We are going to get there actually. So we're going to start with the pitching. And you said this when we did in our preview show last week, and I didn't say they were improved. I just said they were kind of as status quo as they were. Dude, I'll tell you what, man, that bullpen so far is pretty horrific. I mean, we're looking at right now in terms of ERA in Major League Baseball. The Phillies have the 6th worst bullpen ERA in the league. They have the third highest WHIP in baseball. So, Jay, this is a bullpen that has looked absolutely brutal to start the season. I mean, just on Monday alone, Alvarado pitched a third of an inning, gave up 3 hits, 4 earned. Jonathan Bolin has been terrible on Monday. He was 1 in the third, 3 hits, 2 runs. Dude, I mean, our best bullpen guy right now is Dylan Moore, and he pitched for 2/3 of an inning.
They just haven't. Listen, I get the love for Alvarado's got the stuff when he's on. He's just always hit and miss, and when he's getting hit around, he's getting hit around. I just felt I wasn't as high on any of the pitching staff. Like I just felt the pitching. I felt like we didn't improve. You know, you didn't really add anybody. I know Keller. Everybody's calling him a big addition. The dude's had is pretty much a career 4 or 5 ERA guy before coming to Philly. He had one good year. You know, I get the running it back thing, but it's like they had it last year was to me is more of an anomaly than it was because they didn't have it's. I just don't think you can do that every year. The Phillies, it's not like they're the Dodgers where you're like, okay, you have guys outside of Wheeler. There was too many what ifs, and even in the bullpen, we've seen it year in and year out. They always try to bring in guys that had a great year before, and their career. Like I get it, I understand. 1 year looks great when you bring them in. Everybody talks about the season before and the ERA and the WHIP and how dominant they were. But when you look at a guy's career, that's I need more of a sample size. I need more than
for sure.
Season. And
yeah, I mean,
and they bring in a lot of dudes that are that type of guy. And then when they come here, they get smacked around, and everybody's up in arms because nobody really dives into it. Nobody really looks at them. They just see last year's stats. They don't look at a guy's career, really what they are. And I forget who said it. It might have been Colin Cowherd. I think it might have been about baseball. But you look at the guys overall. You don't look at their best season. You don't look at the last season or their worst. You look at everything else in the middle. And a lot of guys they bring in the middle are just trash guys. They're 3.5, 4 or 5 ERA guys that aren't quality dudes. It's not like, Duran's really good. He struggled a little bit, but he's good. Kirkring might have the stuff, but like there's too many what ifs with this pitching between the rotation and the bullpen. Guys that you need to step up. And last year Luzardo dominated the first 11 starts. Sanchez was great, Wheeler was great, so Ranger was great. You had so many guys having great years. It's tough to count on that every season.
For sure. And in Monday's blowout, Alvarado got hit. And Tuesday's win, Andrew Painter has a phenomenal start, which we'll get to. But Tanner Banks gets hit a little bit. And then we get to yesterday, Sanchez struggled a little bit. He pitched 5 1/3, 4 hits, 4 walks, which was what I thought was alarming. Christopher Sanchez rarely ever has location issues, but yesterday he didn't have his best stuff. Yesterday he still had 7 strikeouts. And then you got Jonathan Bolin again, 2/3 of an inning, 2 hits, a run. Brad Keller comes in 1 inning, 3 hits, 3 runs. Duran got touched a little bit the other day. So, Jay, I mean, look, I know we're 6 games in. We've got 156 games to go. But, again, we're getting to a point now if our pitchers can only go 5 innings, I'm going to start worrying already who's coming in and who's going to get the job done.
I think that's been another big issue as well, because outside of really Sanchez's first start, they've used a lot of bullpen. I was kind of excited that, and I know you said we're going to talk about it a little bit, but I was excited to see Painter really go 84 pitches. He went 5 1/3. He gave up that one run in that last inning, but still, it was nice to see him able to put in some work because you're nervous. This bullpen early in the season is getting really taxed. And that's worrisome. I think they said Wheeler, we're about one or 2 more rehab starts away from getting him back.
Yep.
That'll help, but you need to start seeing these guys, go longer into games. And it's 100% why Walker, I think, they left him out there because they know they needed as much as they could get with him, with Wheeler or with Painter going, Tuesday. You expected Sanchez to go a little bit longer, but, last year these guys were going 6 innings, 7 innings, your top of your rotation. You're not getting that this year. So that's the nervousness. You don't want to overuse these dudes because it is a long season. You can overuse the bullpen, but we can bench JP, who's 22 years old, on a Monday. Like, come on, what are we doing?
Yeah, and the good thing is with the return, the impending return of Wheeler, I guess we'll probably have one more start for Walker. I'm guessing that's all we've got left from him. Assuming everything is on schedule.
My assumption of Nola going to the bullpen is definitely off because I feel like I would take Nola at this point over Walker. He's definitely the odd guy out. They have to keep him because they don't have a lot of pitching depth. So you got to get him in the bullpen, long relief type of guy. So it'll be nice, because there are times where he can give you an okay start, but for the most part, he's not. He shouldn't even be in the rotation. He shouldn't be a fifth guy. Not on a team that's trying to win a World Series.
Maybe I'm crazy. I'm gonna have to go relook at the numbers. I don't know why I didn't do it this time, but if I remember correctly, Taiwan wasn't that bad out of the bullpen last year, because he's usually the kind of guy that if you only need an inning or two out of him, he's not awful. It's when you have to get some longevity out of him is when it really starts to get bad. But I'm pretty certain out of the bullpen the couple times he was actually pretty effective. I'll have to go find his numbers. I don't have it right in front of me. I apologize, but you are right. The good thing is, once Wheeler gets back, the odd man out obviously is going to be Taiwan. I mean, they're not going to move Nola. Nola has, he's almost like Teflon at this point. But it's going to be an interesting start because Nola is going to get the ball in game 1 against the Rockies tomorrow at Coors Field. And for a pitcher that gives up a ton of home runs, you got to hope that he keeps that ball down. Yeah, I know. He's got to keep the ball down tomorrow.
Listen, he's staying on the fantasy team for one more start. I had him the first one. I told the guys I was getting ready to drop him. I was like, I'm going to give him, and it is. I was kind of nervous. It's Colorado, but I gotta listen. I was really upset with him last show, but my love for Nola is still there. I still hope he turns it around.
So, tomorrow's a big one. I mean, that would be a really good momentum boost for him if he can get a good 6 or 7 innings out there in Colorado. Other than Philly, let me ask you, I know we're just pulling away here. They are in Colorado tomorrow. So outside of watching them play in Philadelphia, my favorite time to watch the Phillies on the road is actually in Colorado. I love watching games at Coors Field when the Phillies are there. I don't know what it is, but what's an away team that you like watching the Phils play?
Honestly, it was always because I remember those series before. A lot was the Dodgers because I always felt like we played them well.
Yeah.
Colorado does have some great memories. You go back to Ryan Howard, with some plays there, but it was always been the Dodgers. I've always kind of, even though like I'm a big Kershaw guy, I've always been a Kershaw guy.
Yeah.
I kind of, the Dodgers. I'd never root for anybody else besides the Phillies, but if the Phillies are out of it, I always kind of want the Dodgers to win.
Yeah.
So I love watching them play there, and they had some great games. We used to really roll through the Dodgers in the playoffs years back. So it's always fun watching them too. It's a little bit tougher when they're in LA because it is a late game.
Yeah.
But it's nice if you're up late and you're able to stay up. I'm old now, so I can't do it as much anymore. But watching them play out there is a good time.
Yeah, I love watching them play in Colorado. Also, like the backdrop of that whole stadium is beautiful, and they show the mountains all the time, and it's just a beautiful place. So I like watching the away games there. But again, that's going to be a big deal for Nola tomorrow. Also, again, I mean, Taiwan's going to get. I think he's getting the ball for Game 3 in Colorado because Luzardo's going to be Game 2. But let me ask you, Jay. When the Phillies get tagged for 13 runs on Monday, what's your thought after that game? Is it there's 158 games to go, I'm not going to worry, or is almost like the sky is falling right then and there?
Well, it's a little tough. I think with Walker, I don't think you expect them to give up 13 runs in a Walker start, but you kind of expect, seeing him the last few years. He may not have his best stuff. To me, I don't know how much you want to touch on it, but to me, the real big issue is those top 3 guys. I saw a stat earlier that Bryce Harper's, or listened to it, I think on, it was 97.5, they're talking, Harper's out of 270 qualified players, he's 235th in exit velocity and in hard hit balls. He's really struggled. Schwarber's really struggled. Trey's struggling. So to me, it's a combination of everybody. They're not putting up runs. You don't expect a Nationals team because they're not, like, I get they were 3-1. They beat the Cubs, but they're not a team you really expect to come in and just put a chokehold on you. And that's what they really did in 2 of the 3 games, really. I know we won 2, but 2 of the 3 games, they really dominated us and looked like the better team. Which isn't good, which isn't what you want to see from a World Series contender. Yeah, it is early, so it's tough to really push the panic button just yet.
For sure.
This is a team that doesn't, and then they said, Howard, you say it all the time, those guys, talk to me in June and July. So, right now, I still think they're a very good team. But I do think the Harper thing is, I know we kind of had him getting some stats. I think the Harper thing's a little alarming right now.
So, I mean, the Harper thing, obviously, yeah, I agree. I mean, him hitting that home run yesterday, hopefully is the start,
Yes.
because that was just a bomb. He did say after the game, he goes, "Don't worry, I'm getting there. We're gonna get it. We're gonna it's gonna be figured out." So I think Colorado is a good place to get that started. But yeah, I mean, you look at this roster right now, what they're doing. Just go to Tuesday, where the Phillies won 4-2. Turner 1 for 4, Schwarber 1 for 3, Harper 1 for 4, Bohm 0 for 3 with a walk, Bryson Stott 0 for 4. Yeah, man, like this is tough. And then
Garcia's heating up a little bit right now, though, which is a good thing.
Hey, look, it's an added bonus for sure. No doubt, it's an added bonus when he's in there and he's doing well. And then you look at yesterday, a 6-5 win. Trey 1 for 4, 2 runs though, and a walk. Schwarber 1 for 3 with a walk. Harper 1 for 5 with a run and an RBI, obviously with the home run.
Homer. Yeah.
But Bohm 0 for 5, 0 for 4. Stott 0 for 3.
Bohm batting
again
0.95 so far.
Yeah, it's
on a contract year. Oof.
So, let's kind of look at that right now. It has not been a good opening week or so for the Phillies offense. As a whole, they're batting .220 overall. Remarkably, it's still ranked 17th in baseball. Which is crazy. It's disgusting. Turner's hitting 192, Schwarber at 182, Harper 120, Bohm 095, Bryson Stott hitting a wonderful, beautiful 200. That's a lot of struggling going on in the first 5 spots in the lineup, Jay, which kind of explains a lot of what we're seeing right now. So is this a matter of, man, this team's historically just slow starters, they're going to get it? Or how many times are we going to make up the excuse that they're slow starters, they're going to get it?
It's both. I'm going to go both. I think we're going to say, we do say, I think outside that 1 year, I think what was it 23, what year that they dominated, had like one of the, most fantastic April, May. I
think it was last season.
Was it last year? I remember one of the years recently, they just dominated. They were unbelievably great with a really good start. But listen, I think at some point, this team, and we see it in the playoffs. That's been my issue, is we've seen it in the playoffs the last, every year, whether it was the World Series against Houston last year they just get cold. And to me, I've been saying it since we brought them up, or I've been, something I said to you before we even started the season. I said it on here. I do think they need to change something up. I know you're not going to put Schwarber at 4, but I really do think we need to get Crawford. I understand it's 6 games in, but this kid, the energy he has, he's going to beat out a lot of ground balls. He's going to, he hits it. He's a ground ball hitter. The stuff we complained and yelled for Rojas to do with that speed, that's exactly what Crawford's going to do. But they have to do something. I think because of the lineup and because of how hit and miss it is and how cold it gets, a guy like Crawford at the top of the lineup can definitely is starter. When you got Trey Turner, when you got Schwarber, when you got Harper, all not hitting well, it's hitting is contagious and it's excitement. If you can get Schwarber, or if you can get JP at the top of that lineup, Justin Crawford at the top of that lineup. I don't know why I always want to call him JP Crawford. Just there.
Wrong decade.
I know. If we can get Justin at the top of that lineup, that is a spark that could really ignite this offense and really help these guys. So it is. I do think it's a little bit of both. I do think they're 100% going to break out of it. I still, again, I go off of careers. I know at some point these guys are going to lose it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's this year. I think they're going to figure it out. I just think it's a rough stretch. And, listen, there's a lot of things they're dealing with. Harper, maybe trying too hard because of.
You could tell Turner's pressing.
And, they need him. Schwarber is always a guy that's going to be hit and miss. He's going to have a big in the summer. I know he's going to hit his bombs. Bohm could the other stuff. I don't know how long he's been dealing with it, but could the other off the field issues, be affecting his season so far? So it's still early. Yes, we want them to be better. But I'm under the belief come June and July, if they're not hitting, there has to be massive changes. And I do think Topper, even the first, I think if they'd have lost that game, I'm not saying Topper is gone, but it would have helped go towards it because that's a struggle.
So, okay, that was actually my next question. By the way, 2024, the Phillies went 19-9 in April and 20-7
Yep.
in May. So it was 2 years ago. I was gonna ask you, man, because Tuesday and Wednesday's games could have went the other way very easily, dude. If you start out the season 1-5, are we? I mean, are we really going to be? Would we be coming on here legitimately talking about a manager who could be on his way out with another bad series or two?
I think he should have been out after last year, honestly. I
But
know
I mean,
people love
you and I
Topper.
said that. I mean,
I
we
do
were
think on
we're on
board
that bus.
Dombrowski and Topper.
Yeah.
But I do think this is we said it last few years now, a big year for them. But how many times can you got rid of Girardi after the struggling start? I know they have the talent. How many more excuses can we keep making for Topper when he's got last few years he's been a top 2, top 3 team in baseball, and they just can't get it done. And I understand they're losing to you lost to the Dodgers, you lost to the they won the World Series, you lost to Houston, they won the World Series, Arizona made it. So you're losing teams that are getting there, but it's at some point they have to still take that next step, and you don't have a lot of next steps left. So you might not 100%. If you start next few series are very crucial. I do think something's going to have to change, because to me, we've said a million times, Topper is kind of like Charlie, where he's very stuck in his ways. He's going to put his guys out there. I think maybe somebody comes in. I do think that's why they brought in Mattingly. I think he is, that insurance policy, because if I'm not mistaken, has he won a manager of the year? He's been around the game. He's been, should be a Hall of Famer. Knows the game. So maybe he'll bring a little bit more of that other side of it, knowing, hey, we got to switch things up. This lineup is not gelling. They go hot and cold too much. We need a little bit more consistency. Hopefully something like that switches it up. But I could definitely see Topper, even if they're playing well, but just not that next level. I could see Topper getting the can this year.
I mean, I was thinking after, man, yesterday, I was thinking in my head, before the comeback, I'm thinking to myself, man, like Topper is just not getting anything from his players. And I'm not saying that's Topper's fault, but we know how sports goes. The first piece to fall is always the manager, especially in baseball. So I'm thinking, man, without that comeback yesterday, boy, oh boy, I don't know what we would be talking about today, on an off day before heading to Colorado. But I do feel, part of me feels that maybe that discussion would have been had, like, hey, there's not much time left with Topper. But then the other part of me is, I feel like as long as Dombrowski's here, I think Topper's going to be here. So it's like one of those things where
he's kind of tied to him.
I think he's tied to it. And I feel like if he gets rid of Topper during the season, then that might be then that might send shockwaves to Middleton. Like maybe Dombrowski's also the problem here, because they kind of go hand in hand. So that's kind of how I feel about that situation. But I mean, if Tuesday and Wednesday go the other way, look, they were 1-run games. So if they go the other way, and we're going into Colorado at 1-5, I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
Something has to be said, especially when your top 3 is hitting 220 overall, right? Or 150 overall, your top 3.
Listen, I was against the applause for Trey Turner a couple years ago. Maybe we got to give him up. Maybe these guys are better when we're cheering them and not booing them, because there's been a lot of boo birds for Harper out there. Yeah, especially after the World Series Classic, I'm hitting that home run to get you there, wearing the not elite t-shirt. If you're going to make those kind of statements, you have to be able to back it up right now. I mean, we all know he can. So at some point, I do think he has to find it. But if Topper does lose the job, it's 100% on these guys.
No doubt. And look, I'm always the first to blame Topper for a lot of things, because I don't think he's a great baseball manager. No. But if he would have lost his job in the first month, that tells me there are guys that are making $25 to $35 million a year are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Yep. But I think we're pretty spot on there, where I think Dombrowski and Topper are tied together. So that's really what it is. All right. So before we get into the Colorado series, let's talk about the amazing elephant in the room for this entire series, and that was Andrew Painter and his major league debut. Dude, man, that kid came out firing. I mean, he gets his first strikeout, first batter on a curveball, which was such a beauty. He was hitting his spots. I thought JT called a great game for him. What did you see out of Painter?
I like it. I wish the fastball had a little bit, because it looks like that fastball is just straight. Like it's got no movement. But when you're throwing 98, 99, how much movement do you need? It's nice to see him go out there. Like everything they said he really came out and showed it in that start. So I was quite impressed. It's nice to. How many guys do we have? I can't remember last time we had a pitcher just throwing 99. I can't remember. So it's been a moment. He hit his spots. I get it's Washington, but they just put up 13 runs the day before. He was looking very good for a dude. He seemed like everything's advertised. I know it's one start. I know it's Washington, but it's really, he looked like a dude that's going to be in this rotation, and it's nice to see. If he can continue, I want to see a few more starts. But I'm very happy with what I saw. He looked very good. He's hitting the spots, like you said. I'm just impressed with the speed. 99. You don't find many guys at the top of the rotation that are good doing that. So.
I agree.
As long as he can keep it. And he doesnn't have the pressure. It would have sucked. I was really glad they were able to keep that game too, because for moments there, it looked like they were about to blow it for him. There were points, I forget what inning, but I remember there was that one error they had where nobody caught the ball, I think, right over Trey. And he got the guy to second. And he got out of it. It didn't fluster him. He went in there. He didn't, kept cool, calm, and collect, and got out of the inning without giving up runs. There's a few jams, he was in. So everything you wanted to see, you want to see your young guy go through. I felt like he went through in that game, and he came out beautifully from it. So I was quite impressed with that start.
Yeah, 5 1/3, 4 hits, 1 earned, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. I believe that he got in that jam in the 4th. It was first. It was I remember it being first and second. It was first and second with 1 out, and he got and then he kind of almost ran into the same problem in the 5th, but they were ready to pull him, and his pitch count was getting high.
As soon as they gave up that hit,
that was it. Yeah, the single, and that was done. But overall, man, really promising. I'm really excited to see his next start and what he does. So I'm guessing he's going to pitch probably, game 1 of the San Francisco series on Monday.
I would assume so, yeah.
So, because I'm assuming, let's see, if it's Taiwan is going to pitch Sunday on Easter. So that means Monday will probably be Painter.
So ESPN has him going again, opening up at San Fran.
And then Sanchez will be against the second game, right?
Yeah, Sanchez and then Nola.
Okay, so it's right. Okay, good, perfect. So just trying to get that on top of my head. So Monday will be Painter's second start in San Fran, which is great because it's a pitcher's friendly ballpark. It's gonna be really good. I think that'll be a really good opportunity for him to have a really good second start there. So heading into the Colorado series, Jay, where's your mind at? Because we called a sweep against the Nationals, and the Nationals are not that significantly better than Colorado. Colorado's just like, only people that, are local will understand. I mean, at this point in Major League Baseball, they're like the equivalent to the Riverside Rams right now. And I like it. I mean, if you're going to win 2 of 3, I mean, I really hope it's like a 10-2 win both games. Like, this is a series, Jay, where I really want to see the offense just completely open up.
I feel like we have an opportunity because we do have Lorenzen and Quintana going game 1 and game 2. So, I don't know who I don't know who the go in game 3 is. Tamayogu Saguna. Because I don't know.
Doesn't he have like a 1.4 ERA?
1.93, so he's done well. He's also 36. Like, I feel like every pitcher they have is going super old. But you're right. I think this is, if you're going to get the jump off, if you're, you really want it to be against Washington. But I do, this is a team outside of one game is only they put up 2, 3, 3. They put up 14, 5, and then 2. So this is another team that's really struggling. Colorado's historically struggles. They're never really great teams anymore. Yeah. So I do feel like you should sweep, but I feel like a 2-1, it should definitely be a dominant 2-1. You got to really, 2, I feel like no doubt wins. There shouldn't be close. If you have to keep it, if you're going to lose 1, I'm okay with it, but I feel like it should be a sweep, but I'm going to go for 2-1. And I feel like it's a pretty dominant fashion in both of those wins. It should be. And and it should be the jump start going into San Fran.
Just to cover my feelings, I'm going to say that the Phillies are going to win 2 of 3. If I'm going to pick a loss, I think it's going to be the Walker start on Sunday before they head over to San Francisco.
To have Nola and Walker go in a series is tough. That's a tough one.
For some reason, I just feel like Nola's going to be fine.
Thank you. I love you. I appreciate that, buddy.
And I think it's only because he's playing a high school baseball team. But I mean, if it was I still think he would have been okay in San Francisco as well. I think Nola, again, pitchers friendly ballpark. I feel like Nola would be fine in a place like San Francisco. So I think his next 2 starts can be real good momentum shifts for Nola. If he can just get in there and get, I would love to see 7 innings out of Nola tomorrow.
He's a guy that can do it, and definitely. As long as he as long as he limits it to, if he's giving up home runs, it's got to be solo. Because I feel like the safest bet in baseball right now is a Nola home run in the start. But as long as he can limit it to 1 or 2 solo home runs, the team's got a legitimate shot. The problem is when he starts, you're getting guys on base and they're 2-3 run home runs. That's where, the momentum starts to shift and you're getting down. You don't want to get down early. I feel like, on most of these games we've been down early, except for the Sanchez first start, and the Painter start. We've been down early, and I feel like every other game. So we need to I feel like the bats need to get going early. It should definitely be a momentum. I feel like we're going to hit some home runs this series. I feel like you're going to see Harper. He should start to break out of it. Hopefully Trey gets some at bats, some good at bats. Listen, maybe. I know we want to leave Crawford. Listen, Crawford's done great things in that 9-hole. He is exactly like you said. He's turning that lineup over. We just need those top guys to start doing what they're supposed to do. Because really, Marsh and Crawford are the guys right now, which is a weird thing to say.
I know. That's not good. That's not going to get you far. That's not that's not something that is sustainable.
Not a recipe for winning.
Nah. So the 4 things I'm looking forward to this series are 4 players: Luzardo, Nola, Bohm, and Harper. That's what I'm looking forward to. It's funny, even more so than Harper, because I'm confident that he's going to be just fine. It's Bohm that I'm just worried about, because Harper's at bats don't look bad because he's not striking out. Harper's putting the ball in play. But Bohm just looks uncomfortable in the batter's box. I don't know what it is. I mean, the first game of the season, he takes an oppo, 3-run home run. He looked great. And then since then, it's looked really poor. And I don't know what's going on. Obviously, I'm not a hitting coach or anything like that, but I'd really like to see that 3 and 4 heat up in Colorado. If the Phillies can get that 3 and 4 moving, then I'm not really worried about anything else.
Do you think we could see Garcia at some point with how bad? Like, he's not striking out a ton either with Bohm, but to me it could be as well, because he's not hitting. I feel like a lot of times Harper does try to overdo some things. I know they say when to take some pitches this year, take some first pitches, but a lot of the pressure is on him. With Garcia, I know it's early. Garcia hitting okay right now. Do you think we could see Garcia slide up to that 4-hole?
I think so. This series,
or do you think it may take him? Topper's going to give him some time to break out of it.
That might be something you see if he has a really poor series in Colorado. Then I think Topper should absolutely explore moving Adolis up ahead of Bohm for the San Francisco series.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with trying it. I mean, if it's not working now, then there's nothing wrong, in the first 2-3 weeks of the season, just trying something. Give Bohm a day off and have Otto Kemp or have Sosa at third and just have Adolis hit 4. Just maybe give him a day off and let Adolis hit 4 to see how that works. See what pitches he's seeing, see how he's seeing them. So I think it's a great idea. I think that's something we could see in the next week. I would be really interested in seeing how that works. So Jay, you have a sweep, or do you have 2 out of 3?
I'm going 2 out of 3. I just don't see Walker and Nola both getting wins, honestly.
Right.
Tough to count on those guys.
Yeah. And hey, look, as far as we know, this could be Taiwan's last start. Everything is pointing to probably late next week, we could be seeing Wheeler back, not in the San Francisco series. Who do they play following San Fran? They'll be at home against Arizona beginning on the 10th. That could be, they did say between like the 10th and the 15th, we could be seeing Wheeler back. So maybe in that Arizona series, we see Zach Wheeler make his return to the starting rotation, all but, nixing any rotation hopes for Walker, which is just fine with me. But
so
yeah.
I know Wheeler's making a rehab start Friday tomorrow. And I think they said they expect him to throw 50 to 55. And then they do expect him to make one more start next week before bringing him back up.
Which would be probably a 70 pitch, probably.
Yeah, you want to see him,
which is fine. Which is fine because then his first start, naturally, he's probably going to be on an 80 pitch count.
Yeah.
Something like that. So I think we're setting up to probably see him back in that Arizona series. Probably maybe game 2 or 3, but that's fantastic. I also had the Phillies taking 2 of 3 in Colorado. Really hoping the bats show up. That would be fantastic to see. But all right, Jay, thank you very much, brother.
It's been a pleasure. I love it. Listen, I wish there's better circumstances were here. I wish it wasn't such a, we just went 2-1 feeling a little negative, but
yeah,
it's I feel like that's how it is in Philly baseball. So.
Oh, it's going to be this way until October. All right, guys, thank you so much. For those of you who've been using our SeatGeek code, that's Ring the Bell for $20 off your very first ticket purchase. Thank you for doing that. We had 5 new purchases using our code this past week. So, hey, as tickets are kind of relatively on the inexpensive end right now for April and most likely May baseball games, hey, get $20 off that even more using our code Ring the Bell. You're welcome over at SeatGeek.com. So we really do appreciate that. If you're watching us on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell for notifications when we will be live. So regarding Sunday, just to let you guys know, we're not totally certain that we're going to have a show. It is Easter Sunday, so we're both going to be out and we're going to be busy. So yeah, I mean, don't plan on us having a show on Sunday at all, but we will most likely be back Monday because the Phillies are in San Francisco on Monday. So that means you're looking at a 10 o'clock start. So we'll be able to get our show in there. But again, you won't see us on Sunday, but we'll be back here Monday night before the San Francisco series. So thank you so very much. So for Jason Kent, I am Christy Francesco. And this has been Ring the Bell, your Philly show, and we'll catch you guys down the road. Have a great rest of your holiday weekend, everybody. Take care and go Phils.